Hey guys, this may be the least creative video you've ever seen on YouTube, but a legitimate question I get is, what the hell does vegan cuisine look like in Yunnan? And this is asking really about what is authentic Yunnan style cuisine, and then within authentic Yunnan cuisine, what dishes happen to be vegan, what type of food happens to be vegan, right? So if you go to a vegan restaurant in Yunnan, this is not what you're going to get. Some of the things you're going to see here at a normal vegan restaurant, actually, if you ask for them verbally, they probably can make it, but it's not on the menu. This is really traditional, stereotypical, authentic Yunnanese food that happens to be vegan. And these photographs were taken at a non-vegan restaurant, although the particular dishes are absolutely 100% vegan. We'll go through them one by one. First up, kong xin cai, hollow heart vegetable. From my perspective, there's almost no point in trying to use the names of the different green vegetables here precisely. Partly because there are local dialect issues involved, but partly this is a great example. There are at least two different species of plant that are referred to with this same name. So two genuinely different species. But if you order this, so what plant you get, you flip a coin, you're not really sure what you're going to get if you ask if they have this. But this is really traditional local food. First and foremost, you're going to notice, in a sense, there is no sauce, right? This is just this type of green vegetable. And again, I don't know, you'll get something resembling this, but maybe not the same species of plant, tossed in hot oil in a wok. Not even that much oil. It's oil and water. If you actually look at the liquid there, you can see little beads of oil. And that's because the liquid is mostly water. When you lift it up, you lift it up out of the bowl with your chopsticks, the liquid drips off of it, and then you mix it into your rice in your bowl. In some ways, this style of cuisine is more monastic than what you might get in a Buddhist monastery. I personally dig it. I really enjoy sitting down and eating a whole meal, which is nothing but white rice and undercooked green vegetables. So that's the other thing I'm going to say. If you're British or something, you will actually think this is undercooked. The style of cuisine, again, typically, they really toss this through a hot wok quickly, so it's kind of halfway between a salad green and a cooked vegetable. It's not like a European idea where you cook, peas until they're completely dead to their core. And, for that same reason, I mean, actually, even just look at the bits of garlic, the bright white garlic on screen there. To call that cooked, this is pretty close to raw garlic, right? So you get the sense. These greens have been wilted, but in a sense, not really fully cooked. So that is very typical of Yunnan cuisine. And it's also not that great for preventing communicable diseases, right? You can get sick from eating this stuff. Keeping it all the way real. This is another green vegetable. I eat this kind of stuff all the time here. I have no idea what this is called in Chinese or English or what species it is. I go into restaurants and I basically ask them, what kind of green vegetables do you have? And we take it from there. This is a mung bean soup. This is a traditional or typical vegan soup. Again, obviously it's not listed on the menu as vegan. This type of diced vegetable and bean soup or stew, I guess, you got to ask 10 times. Are you sure there's no pork fat? Are you sure there's, you're not throwing in some bits and pieces of meat or something? But this was absolutely 100% vegan. So in this case, I'm guessing what they do basically is they stew the beans and then toss in the chopped up green vegetables. And again, the chopped up green vegetables, they're not really that cooked, which is great. I mean, it's healthy, but they're kind of wilted rather than really thoroughly cooked. And again, it's hard to describe it as having a sauce. It really just tastes like its ingredients. They throw together some green vegetables, some salt, a little bit of oil. Again, you can look at the surface of the liquid. It's not that much oil. And it is what it is. The ingredients just all speak for themselves. So very, very different from other regional cuisines of China. Very different from what you stereotypically get in Hong Kong. I have lived in Hong Kong in the past. Or the style of cuisine that was exported from Hong Kong to Canada and San Francisco and many parts of the Western world. Normally, every restaurant, even a meat-eating restaurant, will have a couple of different types of mushrooms available. And sometimes they'll have photographs of them. Sometimes they'll have a shelf we actually go up and look at the fresh mushrooms and point at the ones you want, and this is what they'll do with them. This is really, again, Yunnan style. They're cooked. They've just been tossed in a little bit, again, mostly water. You're not actually looking at much oil there. They're tossed in a pan with boiling water and a little bit of oil and salt and some other vegetables. And again, even though the mushrooms, you can see they've wilted, look at the other vegetables. Look at the red peppers there. They're almost raw, right? They're not, even compared to Mexican cuisine, if you had red peppers with that Mexican cuisine, they wouldn't look like a salad pepper. They would look thoroughly cooked. And here they're not. So again, I do like this cuisine. I can say both good and bad about it. Here is mapo tofu. Mapo tofu will, unless you're in a vegan restaurant, it will always be made with some meat, unless you ask for it verbally to be made without meat. It obviously doesn't need meat. And here again, this tofu is not very thoroughly cooked. They've tossed it through with basically a red chili sauce. And the main flavor here is actually not the red sauce. The main source of flavor here is what we call Sichuan pepper, which you can see left of center. There's a black dust. That is Sichuan pepper. There are some people who hate Sichuan pepper. I don't know why, but very much a sort of traditional and distinctive element of Yunnan cuisine, perhaps especially here in the capital city, here in Kunming. But the other dishes you've seen, I would say, were 100% typical of what you get by the side of the highway anywhere in Yunnan province. The only vegan options you're going to get by the side of the highway. And this dish in particular, mapo tofu, there are many variations of. I would just say it's not a narrowly defined dish. You get quite a variety. If you order this dish, you're going to get something red, you get something involving tofu, and you have to specify that you don't want any pork, you don't want any meat, and then but what it looks like and what it tastes like will vary quite a lot. There's another famous dish here that I wanted to photograph for this video, but the restaurant didn't have it. But it is a distinctive Yunnan dish, and they do not use any of the standard words for grandmother in Chinese. There are many, many words in the dictionary meaning grandmother in the Chinese language, but there's a local dialect word, a local Yunnan Hua word that is not in the dictionary, and they combine that with the word for potatoes. And that, again, is one of those dishes where normally any traditional Yunnan restaurant will have their own way of making it, for better or for worse. So grandmother's potatoes. In general, people in Yunnan eat a lot of potatoes, and they eat a lot of, red tomatoes. They eat a lot of tomatoes in the diet, which is, again, unlike other parts of China. However, this meal, we did not have tomatoes or potatoes. I think that's because yesterday we had a lot of potatoes on the table. Sorry, the day before these photographs were taken. So that's it, folks. I mean, it's simple. It's pure in a sense. Like, you can taste the ingredients very directly. Sadly, it is dangerous. If you live in Yunnan, you are going to get sick all the time. You are going to get bacterial infections in your stomach. You're going to get diarrhea, amoebic dysentery. It's not safe. Not even if you're vegan. And even though I like eating raw green vegetables, I like eating lightly cooked green vegetables, there is sadly a logical reason why my ancestors, when they were cutting down trees in rural Canada, were eating, horrible European foods like baked beans, where, by the way, if you don't know, traditionally they would dig a hole in the ground, throw the hot coals in the hole, put in the pot of baked beans, and let it boil for 24 hours. That was traditional. So when you boil the hell out of beans, for one thing, you start off with white beans and you end up with brown beans because they've been cooked in sugar for such a long time. You also kill all of the bacteria and you render them something completely safe and reliable to eat, which this stuff definitely is not. I'm now in Kunming. I'm moving out to the border with Myanmar and Dahong, so I'm going from a very temperate, mild climate out to the tropics, where communicable diseases are way up on another level. So I hope you guys stick with me. You're probably going to see some more bizarre food videos from my life in China, assuming I can still access the internet in the years ahead.